What is this? Payment processors are now censoring Steam games? Excuse me, what? Tell me about it, Water CS2.
Imagine a world where your credit card company decides what games you can buy on Steam. That unthinkable future just arrived. Valve, known for its hands-off approach, has added a new rule that would change PC gaming forever. Not by law, but by the powers of payment processors.
We'll just use something else. I'm already out on Visa and MasterCard. Come on. Let's just use something else.
Like Visa and MasterCard.
We don't need them. Dude, they keep implementing these draconian measures where, like, you're gonna do what we want you to do. Like, the government doesn't even have to crack down. It's just the payment processors that everyone uses and they have to use are gonna tell you what you can and can't do. And that's fucking bullshit. But I bet, guaranteed, you can still use them with things like OnlyFans. Let me check. Maybe that's not true. Yes, you can use Visa card on OnlyFans. Okay, what about MasterCard? Can you use MasterCard on OnlyFans? Yes, you can use MasterCard on OnlyFans. So get the fuck out of here with that bullshit.
Starting today, Valve updated its What You Shouldn't Publish on Steam section to include content that may violate the rules set forth by Steam's payment processors and related card networks and banks or internet network providers.
Well, alright. I guess people are going to be hopping on the GOG train because this is some fucking bullshit.
Particular, certain kinds of adult-only content.
What constitutes adult-only content? And when you are changing your rules to accommodate somebody else's rules, then they can decide what rules that they implement. And by the way, Visa and MasterCard like to just ban people for no reason because a bunch of people said that they're bad people. Like, come on, man. Yeah, no, this is some fucking bullshit.
Seemingly vague line has already been used, as SteamDB has reported the removal of a bunch of games, mainly the ones with incest themes. While Valve hasn't explicitly named the names of the—
Yeah, I get it, but it's a slippery slope, my guy. Maybe it won't be bad. Maybe it won't be that bad. Maybe Steam will be like, all right, nope, this is bullshit. We're not getting rid of these games. Or maybe Valve needs to make their own payment processing thing.
The reason for this happening, unconfirmed reports and industry patterns strongly point to major players like PayPal, Visa, and MasterCard, the most popular payment methods on Steam. There were even unconfirmed rumors about PayPal's temporary unavailability on Steam pointing to this, but I couldn't find anything that confirmed this was directly tied to PayPal. One group—
Man, I wish that I didn't have to get paid through PayPal. This fucking sucks.
Collective Show, a campaign for women, seems to be the ones mainly responsible, having released—
Yeah, we need to switch over to that parallel economy, you know what I'm saying? I'm probably getting ready to do that because this just gets worse all the time.
Several articles and open letters to these payment processors making claims about the games on Steam just within the last few days. So as these companies took note of this letter and told Valve they were going to leave the platform, Valve was left with adding this rule and giving these payment companies a bunch of power over Steam. This new rule is important because it's not just a small tweak, it's a fundamental change to Steam, as now these payment processors or other companies—
Yep, they hold power over Steam now. Congratulations, Valve. You fucked everything up by allowing this to happen. You should have just switched over your payment processors, been like, well, we will no longer be accepting Visa and MasterCard. Use something else.
Companies like internet providers have direct influence on Steam and what games are allowed on the platform.
Yeah, the more you let people in, the more you let people change your rules, the more they're going to feel like they can have your rules changed, and the more rules they will force you to change.
For many, this is a big worry. If payment companies can decide what adult content is allowed, people are asking, what stops them from deciding about other things next?
Yeah, and what constitutes adult content? You know? For example, in Ratchet and Clank, Going Commando, a kid's game, Angela says, what the fuck in it, but it's bleeped out. Nope, we can't have that. We're gonna pull Ratchet and Clank from everything. You can't buy anything from PlayStation until they remove Ratchet and Clank or censor this part of the game. Fuck you. Fuck you. And you can say that this isn't where it's going, but it always does. When does it not go this way? When does it not? When do they not go 10 miles? You give them an inch, they'll take 10 miles. They'll take 100 miles. They don't just take a mile.
This is where we get into a slippery slope, where one small change could lead to much bigger, unwanted changes down the road. Now, it's important to understand that,
especially when they think that they have power over you, and then they will start using that power more and more.
That Valve was likely left with very few choices in this situation, as not listening to the payment.
Yeah, the only choice that I think that they'd have is to switch to an official payment processor for Steam.
Processors would have led to them removing their services from the platform, which is what many have reported happened already by PayPal shortly before this rule was added. Now, to truly understand how big this change is, we need to look at Steam's past. This isn't about the specific adult games taken down, it's about a complete reversal of Valve's long-standing, hands-off approach to moderation. Before, Steam allowed a lot of games on the platform, as long as it wasn't outright illegal. The main times Valve would take down a game were if it had some malware inside, broke one of the very few Valve rules, or a specific government requested to get it removed. Valve's position with moderation and the relaxed rules led to Steam.
Yeah, at this point though, PayPal, MasterCard, Visa, all those places are their own governments.
Steam having a large number of adult games and sometimes other controversial content. This position Valve had brought them a bunch of complaints. In 2018, Steam faced criticism for a hate group problem due to lax enforcement against hate speech. Now, this wasn't a game, but it shows how Valve generally handled moderating across the entire platform. In December 2022, US Senator Maggie Hassan even questioned Valve's efforts regarding Nazism, white supremacy, and
Dude, we looked at this whenever this came up. I reacted to this whole situation, and it's fucking stupid.
Misogyny on the platform. In late 2024, ADO made a report about how Steam had an extremism and anti-Semitism.
This was what it was about. It was Pepe. I remember this. This is what they were talking about. They were saying Pepe was a Nazi meme.
Problem, which led to another US Senator, Mark Warner, asking Valve to do something or face further scrutiny by the US government. But Valve usually just ignored these complaints and requests for stronger moderation. As long as nothing was outright illegal or broke their existing rules, they generally wouldn't intervene with the content on their platform. So now, payment processors are no longer just handling your transactions, they're becoming content gatekeepers with
Yeah, you can only purchase what they want you to purchase. You go outside of that, then fuck you, basically.
Massive power over what can be bought and sold online. The thing is, this isn't just a...
Yeah, the more they get like this, the more draconian it gets. We're just all going to move over to cryptocurrencies. That's going to be the future. And I think this is only going to get worse, not just on Steam, because it's been getting worse over the years. Like, all right, hold on. Well, for one, you can't use Visa and MasterCard on Pornhub. That's kind of fucked up. Can't use it for cryptocurrency transactions. That's kind of fucked up. I get why.
Steam issue. This is happening all over, showing a clear pattern. We've seen major hits in Japan's anime and manga market. For example, platforms like Soruga and Manga Library Z were forced to remove adult content or even shut down because payment processors demanded it. Another Japanese platform.
Yeah, what are you gonna do when literally nobody is allowed to buy anything from you until you do what they do their bidding? You know, you do what they say, or nobody's just gonna be able to pay you. Even if they want to pay you, they can't.
Platform, DL Site, even tried to fight back, temporarily blocking Visa and MasterCard to keep its adult content available. Just this year.
Yeah, but I bet they lost too much money. Because Visa and MasterCard own fucking everything, and PayPal too.
Processors in Japan started holding back money from adult game creators on Steam. This was such a big deal that it led to an official investigation by the Japanese government into these payment companies and their practices. It's not just Japan either. OnlyFans in 2021 famously announced that they would ban all sexual content because of pressure from their payment processors.
Yeah, how'd that work out?
Until they reversed the decision. Patreon too has faced similar issues in the past. So as we're seeing with...
Yeah, Patreon is another one that likes to ban everybody just willy-nilly.
Steam's new rule, this isn't just Valve's problem. It's a widespread issue showing how these powerful payment companies like Visa and MasterCard are deciding what gets sold and what doesn't across the internet.
The more and more this happens, there's a reason why you can't buy cryptocurrency with it. The more and more this kind of stuff happens, the more people are gonna just go to crypto.
Thing is, now we're seeing this first step. If payment processors can now influence certain kinds of adult-only content, the real question is, where does it stop? This is the big concern for many people. If these powerful companies can block one type of content today, what prevents them from moving on to other types tomorrow? Could it be games that talk about different
yeah, especially whenever we get into the politics of things, whenever the political people deem something a problem, like, oh, this company is misogynist and transphobes because they like normal things. Well, we're gonna remove our payment system from you until you comply with trans people. That's the kind of shit that these companies like to do.
Political topics. What about games that tell stories some people might find controversial or challenging? Could they even push for change?
Yeah, and just, you remember this whole situation with Kanye West being cut off from JP Morgan Chase, ending its banking relationship with a rapper and his brand because of things that he was saying. Like, it's not Visa, MasterCard, but they're directly tied to them, and they have their own payment system. That's what these companies do. You step out of line an inch, they'll cut you off completely, and you'll be starved. They don't care. There's no actual free speech in America. There's only controlled speech, allowed speech.
Changes on games that don't fit certain beliefs, even if they're perfectly legal.
Yeah, you can have free speech, but you're going to be poor and in the dirt. We're not going to arrest you, but we will cut you off from everything that society uses.
The door is now wide open. Before, Steam decided, but with Valve's new rule, these payment processing companies and others like internet providers now have a huge say for what's allowed on Steam. This means they could in the future decide what games you buy, not based on laws, but on their rules.
Eventually they could just straight up, especially if we get to a super right-wing government, they could just be straight up like, well, you got sex scenes in games, remove them, out of there. Games are for kids. You shouldn't have sex in them. Like, people think that. Trump thinks this, by the way, who is in charge right now. And if he had his way, all games would have gambling in them and there'd be no sex and no violence.
Is a big deal because it takes away control from Valve and gives it to these companies whose main job isn't about games or art, but about money and transaction. Now, I've already seen a few different suggestions from different Steam users, including exploring different payment options, like maybe crypto, or even the possibility of Valve developing its own payment.
Yes, that's actually what we need. I'll have a Valve card to buy my video games with. I'll use a Valve card.
Payment system. Think of a Valve Pay to get around these restrictions entirely. Valve's new rule, which is directly influenced by powerful payment processors, card companies, banks, and internet providers, marks a big moment for the platform. What do you think Valve should do? Should payment processors have this much power? Imagine a world...
Dude, Steam, I think they're gonna be shitified. I really do. There have been some weird decisions in the recent years that I just do not like. They've been making a lot of good decisions, but Gabe Newell is on the way out, you know? He doesn't have much time left. He is an old man. Where's this gonna go? Especially if they deem that a bunch of our games in our libraries are problematic and they're like, we don't want anybody to have them. Like, it's not good. We're not going in a good direction. I think that, you know, if buying isn't owning, piracy isn't stealing. So if they start removing stuff from us, well, oh, we're not even allowed to buy it? Well, you know what that means. Like, comment, and subscribe. Ring the bell for all notifications. You want to see more stories like this, me being a fucking retard, making fun of other more massive retards.